Here I'm solving doubts sent by the students. The problem this is based on time and work. The content development team was working at a uniform rate to develop 2,500 questions in 10 weeks. But after working for 6 weeks, the content development team was informed by the management that the remaining questions had to be developed in 1 week. By what percentage does the team need to increase its rate of development of questions so that it can complete developing the remaining questions in 1 week? Okay, so it's a pretty simple question. Just listen to me carefully. You don't require even a paper and pen to solve this question. See, the total work is of 10 weeks and the total work is 100%, right? So 10% work is done in each week, right? Maybe week, if you say 10 week or 6 week, and maybe 10 days, 6 days, right? Numerically there is no difference. So 10% work is to be done per week, right? So in 6 weeks 60% of the work is done. 60% of 2,500, that is 1,500 questions are already done. Now we are left with 40% of the work, right? Now the remaining work, that is 40%, it has to be done in just 1 week. Now 1 week is what? 10% of the total duration, right? So now what is happening? 40% work is left and that has to be done in just 1 week. That is just 10% of the time, right? 40% of the work, 10% of the time, right? That means speed has to be 4 times. Okay, 40% work, 10% time, right? So speed has to be 4 times, right? So 4 times, that means 400% should be the speed, right? So increase in speed will be 300%. Speed will be 4 times, that means 400%, but increase will be 400 minus 100, 300%. Okay? So your answer is 300%. So that was a very simple question. Let's take the next one. Now let's see this problem based on geometry, an interesting question. A rectangle with perimeter 88 is partitioned into 5 congruent rectangles as shown in the diagram given below. The perimeter of each of the congruent rectangle is. Okay, so perimeter, that is sum of all the 4 sides is 88 of this rectangle, right? That means length plus breadth is equal to 44. That is half of this. Okay. Now we have to find out the perimeter of one rectangle. All the 5 rectangles are congruent to each other. So I assume this length to be x. So this is x, 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 right? So the total length is 3x. Now this is 3x. This should also be 3x. So this part, this part, these two parts are equal. So it must be 3x by 2 and it must be 3x by 2, right? Now this length must be also 3x by 2. And this length must be x, right? Because this length is equal to this length. Now the problem becomes very simple. This length plus this length is 44, that we have already calculated. So 3x, 4x and 1.5x, right? So 4 plus 1.5, that's 5.5x. So 5.5x is equal to 44. So x is equal to 8, right? Now what is we have to find out the perimeter of one rectangle, right? So the perimeter will be x plus 1.5x, that is 2.5x. So 2.5 x into 2, right? This length is 1.5x, this length is x. So this plus this is 2.5x. So double of that will be 5x. So 5x is equal to 8. So 5x will be 40, right? So what is the perimeter of this rectangle? That is 40 meter, right? So that problem is very simple. I hope that's clear to you. Let's take this doubt. The problem is based on geometry, though I have solved many problems based on this topic. A trapezium DEFG is circumscribed about a circle that has center at C. If DM is equal to 1, GN is equal to 4 and measure of DEF and EFG is 90 degree, find the radius of the circle. Okay. Here DM is equal to 1, so this is 1, so this should also be 1 from because tangent from an external point will have same length. Gn is equal to 4, so this is 4, that means this must be 4, right? Gn will be equal to Gp, same reason. So this complete length is 5, right? This is 1, this is R, this is R, this is R, right? And this is a tangent, this both these angles are 90 degree. Now I draw a line over here that is parallel to this line. Now you can observe that this line is nothing but the diameter of the circle, that is length of Mn, right? So this is the diameter of the circle, so precisely we have to find out the length of EF. Now EF is equal to D, suppose I assume this point to be say Q, right? So EF is equal to DQ. Now DQ is parallel to EF, that means this length, that is NQ, will be equal to DM, right? So this length is 1, right? Now from G2 and the total length is 4, so if this is 1, this must be, that is GQ must be 3. Now we have this right angle triangle GDQ, right? Over there it is hypotenuse, it is perpendicular, and it is base, right? So this is 5, this is 3, that means this must be 3 according to Pythagoras theorem, right? 3, 4, 5 Pythagorean triplet. So this is 5, this is 3, and this must be 4. So DQ is 4. So DQ is 4, so EF will also be 4, so that is the diameter of the circle, so that's 4, that means the radius must be 2 centimeter, right? So a conceptual problem, no much paperwork is required. I hope you are clear. Let's take this problem. The problem is based on progressions. The three positive real numbers x, y, z exist such that they are in arithmetic progression, and product of x, y, z is 25. If the common difference is 2 root 5, then find the value of x plus y plus z. See, if x, y, z are in arithmetic progression, that means x plus z must be equal to 2y. So precisely we have to find out the value of 3y, that is x plus z is 2y, and then plus y, that is 3y, right? So bright chances are there. Our option should be multiple of 3, right? So among the option we can see that is multiple of 3 is 15. Okay. Though y is not necessarily to be an integer, but product is coming to be an integer, so some chances are there. So we just take a chance and just verify whether x plus y plus z, or I can say 3y is 15 or not. So if 3y is 15, that means y is equal to 5, right? If y is equal to 5 and the common difference is 2 root 5, that means z must be 5 plus 2 root 5 and x must be 5 minus 2 root 5, right? So if we multiply all the three, that is 5 plus 2 root 5 into 5 minus 2 root 5 into 5, right? So we are getting 25, right? So this way we can verify. So that means x plus y plus z is equal to 15. That's the correct answer. Okay, problem can be solved in seconds. I hope you are clear. Now see this problem based on geometry. In a triangle ABCD is a point on BC such that AB is equal to AD. F is a point on AC such that DF is equal to DC. As shown in the figure, ABC minus DAC is 36 degree, then measure of angle FDC. That's when we have to find out this. I suppose this is A, right? Now this angle same. So this y, I assume this, and this is same. I assume this to be x, this to be x. Okay. Then we are given ABC minus DAC, I suppose this to be Z, right? ABC, that means x minus Z is 36, that is given. We can make the equations very simply. See here, I assume this to be P. So P plus x, that is 2x plus P is 180, right? Then P plus z plus x plus y is also 180. P plus z, sorry. So P plus z plus x plus y is 180. Now here 2x plus p is 180. So x plus p is equal to 180 minus x, right? So x plus p, I write down 180 minus x over here. Now x minus z is 36, so z minus x will be minus 36. I just cancel 180 180. So z minus x is minus 36, that means y is equal to 36. So this is 36, this is 36, so that's 72, and this 3 is 180. So if this is 72, it must be 108. That's angle FDC. Okay. This question based on geometry. In the figure given below, a circle with center O, rectangle ABCD and a rectangle ABCD are drawn. The circle touches side CD at E and passes through the points A and F. If AO is equal to 3, AO, that is the radius of the circle, and DF is equal to 1, that is this length, and DC is equal to 8, that means one of the side of the rectangle is given to be 8, then what is the area of rectangle? Now the simplest thing over here is the one side of the rectangle is given to be as 8, right? Now what will be the area of the rectangle? That is AD into DC. Now if DC is equal to 8, that means the area of rectangle must be multiple of 8. So among the option we just have one choice, that is multiple of 8, right? So bright chances are there 40 is the correct answer, because we don't have any other option which is multiple of 8. Now good number of students may think maybe this length is in fraction, right? Fraction, that means something divided by 2. If something is divided by 2, still the area should be multiple of 4, so we don't have any other option, right? So if you wish to save time, you can use this method, right? Otherwise, next thing is one more thing, we can eliminate the option COE, that is the radius of the circle, right? That's 3. AO is 3, that means OE will also be 3, right? And this length must be definitely more than 3, right? Because we are missing this length from AD. Okay, so this length must be more than 3, that means the area must be more than 24, right? So this is also eliminated. Okay, further one more step I tell you. See, this AF is nothing but the chord of this circle, right? So if you drop a perpendicular from center, it will bisect the chord, right? So I make a rectangle over here this way. Okay, now this complete length, that is OE, is 3 and DF is given to us as 1. That means this length must be 2. This complete length is 3, this is 1, that means this length must be 2. That means this length must be 2. That means this complete length must be 4, right? This is 4 and this is 1, that means this complete length is 5, right? So AD is 5, DC is already given to be 8, so the area of rectangle will be 40. Okay, so I have shown you the 3 methods by which you can solve this problem, right? You can directly mark the answer as 40 because we don't have any other option, that is multiple of 8 and multiple of 4, right? And the data given over here, we cannot get a fraction that is still reducing it to more than 1 by 2, right? So don't worry, 40 will be the correct answer. Let's see this problem. N is equal to this and M is equal to this. Where PQ, R and R consecutive natural number, what is the remainder when N into M is divided by 6? Now that's very simple. See, this is 5 raised to P plus 1 and this is 5 raised to P minus 1. So if you multiply N and M, you'll be getting a term that is 25 raised to or I just write 5 raised to 2P minus 1 into blah blah blah, right? So that is actually 25P raised to minus 1 into blah blah blah. Now 25 raised to P minus 1, if it is divided by 6, the remainder will be 0. How? I show you. 25 raised to P, so the remainder when it is divided by 6 will be 1, right? Because this is this, right? 24 is multiple of 6, so if you divide 25 raised to P by 6, the remainder will be 1 raised to P. P is any natural number, maybe 2, 3, 4, doesn't matter, 1 raised to anything will be 1 only. So the remainder is 1. And that 1 minus 1, so the final remainder will be 0. Now whatever is the expression over here, that will be multiple of 25 raised to P minus 1, right? So if you get remainder 0, so whatever is the remainder you are getting over here, multiplied by 0, you'll be getting the remainder, final remainder as 0. Okay, so what is the remainder when n into m is divided by 6? That is 0. No need to calculate further. I just explained 5 raised to p plus 1 into this, because you are multiplying both the terms, so I am just combining these two. So 5 raised to p plus 1 into 5 raised to p minus 1 into the remaining numbers, right? So in this case it will be 5 raised to 2p minus 1, that is a plus b into a minus b format, so that's a square minus b square. So 5 raised to 2p can be written as 25 raised to p minus 1, right? So 25 raised to p, if it is divided by 6, the remainder is 1. So this 1 minus 1, the final remainder is 0. So if 0 is multiplied by any other remainder, the final remainder will be 0. Okay, now see this question. For a real number y, let this denote the largest integer less than or equal to y, and this denote y minus largest integer. That means precisely it is a fraction. Okay, from total value, if you deduct integral part, you will be getting fractional part, right? Suppose maybe it is 2.3. right? Suppose y is 2.3. So from y, if you deduct the integral part, that is 2, so you are left with 0.3, that is a fractional part, right? So that is true once for all. So you must be knowing this y minus greatest integer function, that means number minus greatest integer is equal to nothing but the fractional part. Okay, so how many solution does this equation have? Now this, I just write it as an integral part, so 11 integer plus 23 fraction is equal to 250, right? Now we have to find out the number of solution to this equation, right? What we can do is we know the fraction is always greater than 0 and less than equal to 1, right? So we can find out the value of fraction from here, that is 250 minus 11i by 23, right? 23f is equal to 250 minus 11i, so f will be 250 minus 11i by 23. Now it should be greater than equal to 0 or less than 1, right? Fraction is always greater than equal to 0 or less than 1. Okay, so if this portion is greater than or equal to 0, that means this portion, the numerator should be positive, or we can say it should be greater than equal to 0. So 250 minus 11i should be greater than equal to 0. That means I should be less than 250 by 11, right? Or less than equal to. So 250 by 11 is 11 2s are 22, then left with 3 0, so 22 point something, right? So integral value will be less than equal to 22, so we have 22 values. Next is this expression should be less than 1. That means the numerator should be less than 23, because if it is more than 23, then the and if it is divided by 23, then the answer will be more than 1. But we want this entire quantity to be less than 1. That means the numerator should be less than 23. So 250 minus 11i should be less than, not equal to, but less than 23. Okay, so I should be greater than 250 minus 23, that is 227 by 11, right? So that is 20 point something. So I should be greater than 20 and less than 22, less than equal to 22. So we just have two values, because I has to be integer. I is what? Integer. So it should be less than 20. I'm sorry, greater than 20 and less than equal to 22. So 22 can be included, right? So we just have two values. So we just have two solutions for this equation. Okay, I hope you are clear. Now this problem, ratio and proportion. 2 liters of a solution having water and milk in this ratio, with the 3 liters of another solution water and milk in the ratio this. What is the ratio of water and milk in the resultant mixture? So the problem is simple. Here the total is 8, here also the total is 8, but this quantity is 2 liter and this quantity is 3 liter, right? So what I do, I just convert them to unit, 1 liter, right? So in 1 liter it must be 3 by 8, okay? And it must be 5 by 8. And over here water must be 5 by 8 and milk must be 3 by 8, right? Now we are adding 2 liters of this. So this is the quantity in 1 liter. So in 2 liter it will be this, and this in 3 liter, right? Now since we have to find out the ratio, and while we will be finding out the ratio, in the denominator will always be getting 8, right? So that will be cancelled out. So we can eliminate that. Okay. So take it out. So 6 plus 15, that is 21, is to 10 plus 9, 19. That's the correct answer. Okay. Let's see this. Fx is equal to 2 f of x minus 1 plus 5. F1 is equal to 1. What is the value of F40 minus F39? Frequently this sort of questions are asked in CAT exams. See, F1 is given. F2 will be 2 F1 plus 5, that is 2 plus 5, that's 7. F3 is equal to 7 2s are 14 plus 5, 19. F4 is equal to 19 2s are 38 plus 5, 43. No need to calculate further, just this much is enough, I guess. What is the value of F40 minus F39? See, among the options we can see the breakup between 6 and 2 is done, right? So we just try to write down F40 minus F39. So the same I just try to do over here. F4 minus F3. So that is 43 minus 19. So that is 24. If I wish to write down 24 in terms of 6 and 2, what I can do is 6 into 2 square. Right? That means F4 minus F3 is 6 into 2 square. So 6 we can see everywhere. But here it is 2. So that is 1 less than 3. Okay. So F40 minus F39, 6 into 2 raised to 38. It is possible. We can verify once again. F3 minus F2, that is 12. So that is 6 into 2 raised to 1. Right? So that's 1 less than 2. Okay, same with same logic. So now it's verified. 6 into 2 raised to 38 will be the correct answer. Okay. Now the problem is based on time and work. Saral and Himanshu can do work in 6 and 8 days respectively. If Saral, Himanshu and Abhishek, the third person, can complete the work in 2 days, and what is the ratio of earnings of Saral, Himanshu and Abhishek if they are paid in the ratio of the work done by them? Now that's very simple. Once again, see, all of them are working for 2 days, right? Saral alone can finish the work in 6 days. That means in 2 days he might have done 1/3 of the work, right? So after the total work he has done 1/3 of the work, right? Similarly, Himanshu can finish the entire work all alone in 8 days. So in 2 days he might have done 1/4 of the work, right? So these two people have done 4 plus 3, 7 by 12 of the work. So remaining 5 by 12 work has been done by Abhishek, right? So I just take 12. So the ratio of their earning is 4:3:5, because the earning depends upon the work done by them, right? So it is 4:3:5. Okay. What digit does A represent if 35 factorial is this? Here A is this. Now the problem can be solved easily if we apply the divisibility rule of 9, because 35 factorial should be definitely divisible by 9, right? And what is the divisibility rule of 9? That is sum of digits should be divisible by 9, right? So here this entire number is divisible by 9, and the inclusive of A, sum of digits should be divisible by 9, or I can say the sum of digits should be ultimately 9, right? So we can find out the value of A, right? For that we need to eliminate the 9s which are already there, right? So suppose there are 3 3s, so that means it is 9. Okay, 3 6, that's 9. Okay, just eliminate them carefully so you don't end up making mistakes. This 9 gone, this 9 gone, this 9 gone. Then we have 7 plus 4, 11, 12 and 1, 13. 13 plus 5, 18. Then we have 3 6. Then we have 1 8 and 1. We are left with 3. From here we can take 7 and 2 9. Then 1 2 3 3s are there. So here it is 3 4 4 then 2, then 5, then 2. So 5 and 4, 9. So now we are left with 4 and 3, 7, 8, 9. We have 1 also there. So 4 and 3, 7, 2, 9. Now we are left with 2 plus 1, that is 3. So A plus 3 should be 9. So that means A must be 6. Okay. Now this problem seems to be complicated, but it's really easy. I have explained this sort of problems so many times. So whenever you see this sort of expression, you just try to recall a plus b whole square or a minus b whole square format, right? It will definitely come out of the square root, right? Now what you have to do, see 9 minus 4 root 5, so it can be written as 9 minus 2 root 20, right? So 4 is actually 2 into 2, I just leave 2 over here, and that other 2 that will go under square root and it will be 4, right? So here it is root 20, that's 4 into 5. Now we just try to find out the two numbers whose product is 20 and the sum is 9. So that's 5 and 4, right? So it can be written as root 5 minus root 4 whole square, right? It's when you just open it up, you'll be getting 5 plus 4 minus 2 root 20. Okay, so now if this thing is in square root, so if it comes out, it will be root 5 minus root 4, right? So here already minus root 5 is there, so minus root 5 minus root 5 plus root 4 will be there, right? I just write 3 minus root 5 plus root 5 minus root 4. Okay, so root 4 is 2, so 3 minus 2, finally m is 1. Okay, similarly we can do over here. This 4, I just keep 2 outside the square root, and the other 2 will get into under the square root. So 7 into 4, 28, right? Now we want two numbers, their sum must be 11 and product must be 28. So that is 7 and 4, right? So this is actually a root 7 minus root 4 whole square. So if it comes out of the square root, it will be root 7 minus root 4. Now this root 7 and this root 7 will be cancelled, right? Now here minus 1, and this is already a minus sign over there. So if it comes out of the square root, it will be plus root 4. So it's 2 minus 1, 1. So m is 1 and n is 1. So m minus n by anything, it will be 0 by something, so that's 0. Okay, so very simply you can solve this problem.